So, hallo und herzlich willkommen zu einer weiteren Folge Morrowind. Wir sind mal wieder an dem Punkt, wo wir quasi Nerevar and Red Mountain lesen wollen. Wahrscheinlich wird es wieder eine Folge in Anspruch nehmen, deswegen legen wir gleich los. Und dann werden wir endlich mal wieder was Sinnvolles tun. So. Ja, sieht so aus. Nerevar and Red Mountain. The following is from the Apocrypha, the hidden writings of the Tribunal Temple. It is a scholarly retelling of a tradition transmitted through the Ashlanders concerning the battle at Red Mountain and subsequent events. The Ashlanders associate this tale with the telling of Alandra Sul, a shield companion of Nerevar who came to life among the Ashlanders after the death of Nerevar and during the ascension of the Tribunal. There are many variant treatments of this story, but the primary elements are consistent throughout the tradition. The murder of Nerevar, the tragic fate of Dagoth-Ur, and the profane source of the Tribunal's divine power are denied by temple doctrine as ignorant Ashlander superstition and not widely known among civilized Dunmer. Resadeen, present-day Morrowind, was contested ground between two very different types of Mer. The Jimmer, who worshipped Daedra, and the Dwemer, who worshipped a profane and secret power. These two people warred with each other constantly, until their lands were invaded by a young, vibrant and violent alien culture, the Nords. Two heroes, one from the Jimmer and one from the Dwemer, Indoril Nerevar and Dumak Dwarf Orc. Okay, auch ein Orc. Made peace between... Ist sein Name, ich weiß, aber... Okay. Made peace between their people and together ousted the alien invaders. Then these two heroes worked long and hard to maintain that peace thereafter. Though their counselors thought it would not last, or worse, that it shouldn't. Nerevar's queen and his generals, Amalexia Thothasil Vivek, told him to claim all Resdain for his own, but Nerevar would not listen, for he remembered his friendship with Dumak. There would be only peace, until Dagoth-Ur arrived. House Dagoth had discovered the source of the profane and secret power of the Dwemer, the legendary heart of Lorcan, which Dumak's people had used to make themselves immortal and beyond the measure of the gods. In fact, one of their high priests, Kagrenak, was building a new god so that the Dwemer could claim Resdain for their own. The Tribunal urged Nerevar again to make war on the dwarves. Nerevar was troubled. He went to Dumak, his friend of old, and asked if what Dagoth-Ur said was true. But Kagrenak and the high priest of the Dwemer had kept their new god secret from their king, and Dumak said the Dwemer were innocent of any wrongdoing. Nerevar was troubled again and made pilgrimage to Holamayan, the sacred temple of Azura, who confirmed that all that Dagoth-Ur said was indeed true and that the new god of the Dwemer should be destroyed for the safety of not only Resdain, but for the whole world. When Nerevar went back and told his tribunal what the goddess had said, his queen and generals felt themselves proved right and again counseled him to war. There were reasons that the Dwemer and the Jimmer had hated each other forever. Finally, Nerevar, angered that his friend Dumak would lie to him, went back to Fardenfell. This time the Jimmer King was arrayed in arms and armor and had his hosts around him, and he spoke harshly to Dumak Dwarf Orc, King of Red Mountain. You must give up your worship of the heart of Lorcan, or I shall forget our friendship and the deeds that were accomplished in its name. And Dumak, who still knew nothing of Kagrenak's new god, but proud and protective as ever of his people, said, "We shall not relinquish that which has been our way for years beyond reckoning, just as the Jimmer will not relinquish their ties to the lords and ladies of Oblivion. And to come at my door in this way, arrayed in arms and armor, and with your hosts around you, tells me you have already forgotten our friendship. Stand down, my sweet Nereva, or I swear by the 15 golden tones I shall kill you and all your people." And so the Jimmer and Dwemer went to war. The Dwemer were well defended by their fortress at Red Mountain, but the bravery and cleverness of Nereva's queen and generals drew most of Dumak's armies out into the field and kept them there, so that Nereva and Dagoth-Ur could make their way into the Hrnchamd by secret means. There Nereva met Dumak, oder Dwemer, and the Dwarf King, met Dumak and the Dwarf King. Ich dachte, Dumak ist der Dwarf King. And they both fell from grievous wounds. Dagoth-Ur slew Kagrenak and took the tools that Dwemer used to tap the power of the heart. He went to his dying lord Nereva and asked him what to do with these tools. And Nereva summoned Asura again, and she showed them how to use the tools to separate the power of the heart from the Dwemer people. And on the fields the tribunal and their armies watched as the Dwemer turned into dust all around them, as their stolen immortality was taken away. Back in Red Mountain, Nereva told Dagoth-Ur to protect the tools and the Hrnchamd until he returned. Dagoth-Ur said, "But shouldn't we destroy these tools at once, so that they might never be used for evil again?" But Nereva was confused by his wounds and his sorrow, for he still loved Dumak and the Dwemer people, and so went to the fields outside of Red Mountain to confer with his queen and his generals, who had foreseen that this war would come and whose counsel he would not ignore again. "I will ask the tribunal what we shall do with them, for they have had wisdom in the past that I had not. Stay here, loyal Dagoth-Ur, until I return." Then Nereva told his queen and general all that had transpired under Red Mountain, and how the Dwemer had used special tools to turn the people into immortals, and all the wondrous powers of the heart of Lorcan. The tribunal decided that the Jimmer should learn how to use this power, so that Nereva might claim Resdayn and the world for their people. Nereva did not expect or want this, so he asked his queen and generals to help him summon Asura yet again for her guidance. But the tribunal had become as greedy as Kagrenak upon hearing of the power of the heart, and they coveted it. They made ritual as if to summon Asura as Nereva wanted, but Almalexia used poisoned candles and Thosasil used poisoned robes, and Vivek used poisoned invocations. Nerva was murdered. Then Asura came forth anyway, and cursed the tribunal for their fool deeds. She told them that she would use her powers over dusk and dawn to make sure Nerva would come back and make things right again. But the tribunal laughed at her and said that soon they would be gods themselves, and that the Chimmer people would forget their old ways of worship. And Asura knew this would be true, and that it would take a long time before her power might bring Nerva back. What you have done here today is fool beyond measure, and you will grow to regret it. For the lives of gods are not what the mortals think, and matters that weigh only years to mortals weigh on gods forever. And so that they might know forever their wicked deeds, Asura changed the Chimmer into Dunmer, and their skin turned ashen and their eyes into fire. Let this mark remind you of your true selves who, like ghouls, fed on the nobility, heroism and trust of their king. And then the tribunal went into Red Mountain and met with Dagoth-Ur. Dagoth-Ur saw what had been done, for his skin had changed as well, and he tried to avenge the death of Nerva, but to no avail. He was driven off and thought dead. The tribunal found the tools he had been guarding, and through study of Kagrenak's methods turned themselves into gods. Thousands of years after their apotheosis, the tribunal are still the gods of Morrowind, and the old ways of worship are remembered only by few. And the murder of Nerva is known to fewer, but his queen and generals still fear his return, for the words of Asura linger long, and they see the mark of her curse on their people every day. So, dieses Mal waren wir ein bisschen schneller durch. Ich versuche gerade noch ein bisschen zusammenzukriegen, was denn jetzt eigentlich die letzte Geschichte war. Wir haben gar nicht mitgekriegt, wie eigentlich Nerva gestorben ist. Also in der alternativen Geschichte, in der Geschichte von... Wie heißt er denn? Vivek, genau. Archcanon, Public Notice, Plan to defeat Dagoth-Ur, Note from Baccarat, Dagoth-Ur's Plans. So, die beiden haben wir. So, dann gehe ich doch nochmal zu Vivek. Einfach, weil ich wissen will. Hi, Vivek. Murder Nerva. We did not murder Nerva. The legend that we murdered Nerva comes from a story told by a shield companion to Nerva, Alandro Sul, who lived among the Ashlanders. The Ashlanders have retained Alandro Sul's account as part of their oral history. The account is persuasive in some details, implausible in others, and is in any case false. I have 2 accounts on Nerva's death in my library. Read them, judge for yourself. Okay. Wo ist die zweite Geschichte? Habe ich die verpasst oder ist es jetzt einfach zu lange her? Plans to defeat... Ah, the Battle of Red Mountain, okay. Drum kannte ich den Spaß ja schon. Ja, genau. Bla bla bla. Bla 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 blub blub bla. Blu 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 bla bla. Aber da steht immer noch nicht genau, wie er jetzt gestorben ist. Eigentlich. Oder habe ich das überlesen? Bla. Okay. Bla bla bla. Da steht überhaupt nicht, wie Nereva letztendlich gestorben ist. Da steht überhaupt nicht, wie er gestorben ist. Okay. Das ist auf jeden Fall ein interessanter Punkt. An dieser Stelle bedanke ich mich mal wieder für die Aufmerksamkeit. Wünsche euch noch eine tolle Zeit und auf Wiedersehen.